Hi there, Henry from 911 Virgin, Porsche people in Uxbridge. Welcome to another video. On what is a bloody cold, I have to say, January morning. Freezing. You will notice I am not alone. I've got Dan with me. I always joke I'm the sales prevention officer, so they never actually let me speak to customers when they come to buy and sell cars to us. You're either going to speak to Tom, Dan or Matt, and so I've got Dan in. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Henry.
You've been with us a while. You joined us in
2003.
Which is incredibly apt given this car. In 2003, Porsche launched another one of their celebration cars. You will remember we've made a video on the 1993 964 celebration, which celebrated 30 years of the Porsche 911. We've done a video on the 2013 991 celebration, which celebrated 50 years of 911 production. This was launched in 2003, produced 2003, 2004, which celebrated 40 years of Porsche 911 production, which started off in
2004.
No, first ever Porsche 911.
1963.
1963, which is a significant number. It's not rocket science. You put 10 and you get to anyway. Tell us about these 996 celebrations.
So this is a 996 anniversary car, produced
2003 to 2004.
Yes, thank you. This happens to be number 0704.
Okay.
There was about 200 that came to the UK in 1963.
Of a worldwide production
of 996
1963 cars. Porsche, they love the 1963. They kind of, I think I'm right in saying I think 964, this 901, they always make 1963 of them, I think. Yes, yeah,
very specific for a reason. So we took this in part exchange. Guys had it for about 10 years.
And we sold it to him.
We did.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
And I have to say, we're showing this literally as it arrived to us. One of the problems with making videos this time of year is we get the cars all nicely prepped up. I then go and take them out for a drive. I get them filthy and it takes a day or more to get them all clean again. So this arrived about an hour ago. And so we're going to make a quick video on it now. And yeah. So 40th anniversary, what did you get? What did Porsche do on the 40th anniversary car?
So the 40th anniversary car was based on a facelift 996 two-wheel drive narrow-bodied car.
Okay.
Cosmetic enhancements started at the front end with a 996 turbo front bumper.
I was going to say, because from the front it looks like a C4S or a turbo.
You are indeed correct. So it shares 996 turbo front bumper with colour-coded slats.
Okay.
All the 996 anniversaries came in GT silver. It was unique to the Carrera GT, and I think it was a nod to that. So the only other car to be produced in GT silver was the Carrera GT until they produced the 40th anniversary
Which was
car.
their supercar.
Correct.
And was it 2004 that came out, I think?
2003, 2004.
Yeah.
So it was, as I say, it was a nod to that. Interior-wise, you had natural leather. It came with unique perforated seats.
And by natural, you mean?
So black.
Okay.
But it was a slightly different grain of leather. You had perforations to the base of the seat inserts, back of the seat inserts, quarter sections of the steering wheel, rear seats, and gear knob. Again, all unique to the anniversary car. They all came with hardback sport seats finished in GT silver. The centre tunnel was finished in GT silver, and as and when we do sort of interior video, you'll see the inserts around the binnacle surround. They were also in GT silver.
So the kind of infotainment.
Correct. They called it the GT silver interior
But
pack.
sat-nav wasn't standard.
Sat-nav, you're correct. Sat-nav wasn't standard. Sat-nav was an option. We'll run through the options a little bit later. But stylistically, you had a 996/996 C4S front bumper with the GT silver slats.
And just going back, because on one of the ways to distinguish between the turbo and the C4S is always the turbos have the air vents in the side.
Correct.
But this is different because the C4S, based on a wide-bodied car,
whereas this is based on a narrow bodied
because
car.
it's a two-wheel drive car.
Two-wheel drive. Factory 10mm slower suspension, so factory sports suspension on it. GT3 side skirts, again down the side of both sides.
Yeah.
And to the rear, unique badging, 40th anniversary badging.
So quite nice with the side sills really, because it gives you a bit, although it's a narrow-bodied car, it just gives it a slight...
It does, it stretches it slightly,
Yeah.
and gives it a slightly more muscular side section, or lower side section to it. The other unique feature to the anniversary car was the chrome wheels. So they're 18-inch Carrera wheels, which ordinarily were an option on facelift cars, and they would be finished in silver.
Yeah.
These are finished in chrome.
And chrome, it's a kind of not pure bling chrome, but it's
subtle.
Yeah, it's what Porsche call chrome. It's a kind of grey, but with a bit of a chromium finish to it.
Absolutely. The big thing also was the power upgrade. You went from 320 to 345.
So that is an X51.
51.
Now that X51 is quite a significant thing, isn't it? They didn't just kind of remap the car. I mean, to buy an X51 pack was a fair chunk of money, wasn't it?
It was on the 996 and is on the 997. So yeah, I mean, when you drive these, I guess that's when you feel the power difference between a standard car and the X51 power.
So you
upgrade.
got that as part of the package?
Correct.
Yeah.
Along with the stainless steel exhaust system as standard Porsche exhaust, or PSE.
So that's the switchable sports, little button in the car, you can make it sort of louder or quieter.
Yeah, again, subtle but noticeable.
Yeah.
But again, a nice feature to have on an anniversary car. Bi-xenon lights were standard. Sunroof was standard on them. Other nice options that you could have that this car's got: Bose, heated seats, PCM navigation.
But they would paid options when you ordered the car if you wanted to. Didn't come as part of the celebration package.
As was cruise control.
Yeah.
So some nice features on, including a rear wiper. Actually, that was again added on, and not necessarily something.
So what Porsche have done, I mean, they kind of, we've touched on this a couple of times, that when they're going to do something, if they can sort of raid the parts bin, they will do. So in terms of, let's say, GT3 side sills on it, and they're not necessarily making parts specific to this special edition, but what they're doing is saying, okay, we'll package it up, and they do it very well. I mean,
they do. I think the difficulty is, if it was a wide-bodied car, you wouldn't be able to distinguish it between a turbo, a C4S, and an anniversary car. So cleverly, from a drive point of view, you've got a power upgrade, but a narrow-bodied or narrow track
they always
car.
tend to aim the celebration cars with kind of driver focused. They're trying to get back to that core sense of Porsche drivability and what they're all about, really, which I think is quite nice.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. And also, it's what can I have that's a little bit different to a standard body car that doesn't necessarily take me to sort of GT3 territory, 996 turbo territory. You've got this again, produced in limited numbers. I think sort of, you know, in years to come, again, there won't be huge amounts of them as well. So
yeah, I mean, these are quite, whenever
thing.
we get these, they tend to sell quite well, don't they? I mean, I say whenever we get them, it's not that we get that many of them.
Get huge amounts of them. I think people quite like them. I think not necessarily to use them as a daily car, but they're modern enough that they can use as a daily car.
But they are everyday kind of road usable, aren't
Correct,
they? It's
yeah.
not something that you have to have in a garage and go and do a track day, and this is designed to be used on the road every day. But as you say, with those little bits that just give you an extra bit of power, or
yes, as it distinguishes it between a sort of standard car. The chap who took it in part exchange on has had it for 10 years and has used it not as an everyday car, but it has been a car as part of the collection
for road use, rather than
sort of bringing out when the sun shines, as is noted today. As it's come in, we're showing it as is. So, but they're a good thing, and they're certainly good news.
Good. Thank you very much. You see, this is why I employ people like Dan, because he knows far more than I can ever know, and hence, if you need to know anything, you phone them up and they'll actually give you an answer. I just have to make stuff up, and once in a blue moon I'll kind of hit it and I'll get it right, but very rarely. Well, lovely. Thank you very much. I say it's really great to put a face to a name, because people who call up will see Dan or Tom or Matt on a kind of routine basis when you speak to us, but I wanted to bring Dan out, and we're going to try and do that. We're going to try and introduce the guys a little bit more, and even maybe do some videos where we kind of discuss the market or our views on certain things and cars, because we often kind of sit and chat amongst ourselves and have a cup of tea and try and put the world to rights, and it's interesting, our thoughts. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but we may do that in the future at some point. I guess now the thing to do is to take it out for a drive and see what the sum total of all those bits mean when you go out for a drive. So out on the road, this feels it's a really nice car, because it's absolutely kind of road focused, everyday usable. It's not a harsh ride. I mean, this particular stretch of road we're on, crikey, I've said it so many times in the videos, it's horrific. There's potholes and everything on it, and it's not crashy. So suspension wise, it's got the MO30, which is the firmer suspension, but it's road compliant. It's not overly harsh. It's there, and it kind of tightens the car up, and it just makes it feel, it's slightly more GT3-ish in its handling, but it's not crashy, so it feels sharp. The car feels, I suppose, tight, you might say, when it's driving, but it's still really compliant, but you feel you can place it well, so you get good feeling on the suspension and so on, which is nice. You get the kind of bits and pieces inside. The steering wheel feels nice with the design on the steering wheel, and there's just some, all the little kind of bits and the features around you, sports exhaust or switchable sports exhaust and so on, makes it feel just that bit special. And it's interesting how these cars have sort of fared. I think at one stage you probably used to value a 996 celebration car in the same way you would do a C4S. I think now they're probably worth a little bit more than a C4S. I think the slight sort of cachet, maybe collector appeal of them, and that engine upgrade which you got in these is nice. It does just give it, an extra bit of sort of zest in terms of performance. And again, it's that same thing. It just feels sharp. It's like if you imagine the kind of perfect 996, that's what this feels like, because everything's sort of tightened up around it, and you get extra power. The handling is nice and so on, and so yeah, they're kind of quite desirable. I've sort of said before, I tend not to sort of talk values really on the cars, but in very crude terms at the moment, at time of filming, a good C4S is maybe worth kind of low £30,000. I think this is mid £30,000. I think it's that order of magnitude. So there's a little bit of a premium over a C4S in terms of kind of values of these. So nice performance on the car. It's not kind of running away with you whereby you're sort of panicking, very much within the sort of confines of what you can deal with. I think I'm right in saying about 345 horsepower power wise. Don't quote me, but it's around there, just somewhere around there. So it's a good chunk of power. 6-speed manual gearbox, and lovely combination. Really easy gear change on these cars. The 996 is kind of, I think as a model, it's potentially the entry for a lot of people these days into 911 ownership. It's the 993 which preceded it, it kind of reached classic status early in its life, and so value is really quite high. 997 that followed this, again, very pretty car, well received, values fairly sort of firm in terms of getting into one. you need to be a little bit careful with the 996 in that you will see some what look to be kind of real bargain cars, but potentially you've got some kind of hidden expenditure on them. If you get it wrong when you're buying these, you can be into some sort of big bills with all the cars, you know. So if they're cheap, often they're cheap for a reason, and you know, with the lower value Porsches, there's a danger that people don't maintain them properly. They slide downhill, and therefore you see them advertised seemingly bargain prices because people haven't sort of maintained them properly, and actually, you know, they're almost scrap. You know, you almost can't buy them because it's not worth mending them anymore. But you know, something like this obviously is not in the kind of bargain basement level in terms of entry into Porsche 911 ownership because of what it is. It's a low mileage car and it's a limited edition car. So, you know, a good 996 will still command fairly strong money. But as I say, at the very bottom end, the early, you know, 1998, 99 cars, you'll see them cheap sometimes, but just be careful. Make sure you're not kind of buying into sort of problems. So there you go. You know, I thought we'd make a video on this when it came in because it's we don't get that many of them, and it's quite an interesting car in its own right. It's also talking about the 996, which I think the 996 is quite an important car in the 911 lineup, because for a lot of people it will be their entry into 911 ownership. So I think they're quite important. They serve a good purpose. And I think something like this, it's interesting that it gives you a chance to buy a slightly unique car, you know, not something that you'll see every day, but on a relatively affordable budget. And I appreciate that, you know, prices, it is very relative. You know, to some people £500 is a lot of money, to some people £500,000 isn't a lot of money. So, you know, but I think in terms of supercar or Porsche 911 ownership, as I say, at the moment it's kind of mid £30,000. It's a particularly nice example, but it's achievable for a reasonable number of people. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Say subscribe to the channel. It means you get to know when we've got new videos coming out, and as I always say, feel free to comment in the comment section. You know, we love to hear your feedback and sort of try and answer questions as they arrive. But yeah, look after yourselves, stay safe. Oh, I think you probably just drifted off a little bit there. Look after yourselves, stay safe. I'm Henry, we're 911 Virgin, the Porsche people in Uxbridge. Bye bye.